just a little.
Welcome to the best outdoors program just off the shores of the mighty Red River. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, the heart and soul of all things related to God's great outdoors. Starring Gary McCoy, an all-around outdoorsman with a CMA Award for Best Personality in Radio. A man who excels in the radio world and needs no introduction to the outdoors, whether standing tall in the winner's circle or sitting low in the deer stand. Mike Eccles, the boss tournament trail director and outstanding duck hunting guide with a wealth of outdoors knowledge who's not afraid to give his opinion with or without the facts. His years of bass tournament experience ensures that rules are followed and anglers are kept in check. And last but not least, Daiwa and Ranger Pro Steve Graff, a member of the Northwestern State University Hall of Fame with years of bass tournament experience who continues his pursuit of a double-digit bass and championship stringers. So let's jump on the front deck and make that first cast with the legendary minds of the great outdoors. Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and the one and only Steve Graff. Take it away, guys.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. We are hooking up and tracking down Gary McCoy along with the old Ranger Daiwa Pro staffer Steve Graff. The Mud Hen Mike Eccles is here. And Topwater, you need to keep your hat on.
Yeah, no, they don't. Or the pimp hat.
I mean, look at that! Look at that hair.
I see that.
Do we have a camera we can turn on him?
No, we don't actually, and that's by design.
So tell me, have you been to bed?
I slept for a little while, yeah, but you know,
Okay.
I wear these fedora hats. You know, they don't make headphones.
You
for
got
'em.
bed head.
You know, I'm thinking about just taking my headphones off, and then I can wear my hat. I just
See?
want to hear you guys.
Yeah. Oh, see?
You look like you combed your hair
it's a
with a
win-win.
firecracker.
Hey, this part of the show brought to you by Bayou Outdoor Super Center. Steve Nichols, what a wonderful man, and the gang at Specialty Traco. They're CCA of Louisiana, Despino and Jim South Tire, and PD Vinson with the Bash Cash Bash Fishing Circuit, which just cranked up, what, Monday?
Yes. That would be
May the
right.
1st.
May the 1st.
May the 1st,
May the 1st.
and it will go through Labor Day weekend. Now, this is on Toledo Bend.
Labor Day or Memorial?
Labor
Day.
Memorial's
Day's
May.
already coming down.
Labor's September.
Yeah, I mean,
it goes all
right.
summer.
Okay.
And
Good for them.
Don't be that guy.
Yep.
We know somebody that was that guy once.
I'm going to be there this weekend. So
Did you get your tag?
You guys have got to help me for this event because I'm fixing to get my butt kicked. So, because it's brutal over there right
You
now.
don't need help with that.
That's probably right.
You managed to accomplish that.
You might need to talk to Topwater.
I'll give y'all all the credit in the world if y'all can help me here. But anyway.
I bet. Hey, before we get off into everything, because we do have an incredible show today, David Croissant from the CCA is going to be there, and dadgummit, you know, they're battling Sylvania.
Yeah.
Imagine in the state of Louisiana having to fight Sylvania.
And battling a beetle.
Battling a beetle, an invasive problem that's affecting the roseau cane down there.
Yeah.
They got all kinds of stuff that's going on. Also, don't know if you know the name Davey Height.
Yeah.
He's a newcomer into the world of fishing.
Yeah, whatever.
Any rate, he is the ESPN TV co-host of the Bassmasters. He's going to wrap things up from Ross Barnett for you. That one went into overtime.
It did. Went all into Monday, and he is so excited to be on our program.
See, believe
I'm
it or
telling
not,
you, he's like,
we've
man,
made
I
a
would
couple of
love.
people famous.
He said, I
I
love
am
you
rarely wrong. Well, no, I rarely admit being wrong. But I will admit that when I heard Davey Hite was taking over this job
Yeah.
as a
Analyst. Yeah.
analyst,
Yeah.
that I didn't think he was going to do a good job.
Really?
He's just so quiet,
Yeah.
but he is off the chart.
But, you know, it's amazing the insight because he can let you know what's going on in somebody's head in real time. When they go to the Bassmaster Live, you know, he's saying this is what he's thinking right now because he knows, you know, what's in the live well and what this guy – obviously, you know, if a guy's sitting there with 5 dinks, you're thinking, well, he's going for a big fish. But, you know, what's that process?
Yeah. Well, I knew he was going to do a great job. He had a series, Mike, called First Take. And he would be in the boat with an angler as they're idling in right before weigh-in. And he kind of knew that they were going to win. And he would interview these guys. And he would do such a great job with that.
Was he ever with a guy that they thought was going to win that didn't win?
No, it never happened.
That would have been wild.
At least they didn't broadcast it.
You know, I just figured I could do what Davey Hite does. If I had about a 5-minute time delay in what you were looking at and to where it's sort of like picking the lottery numbers on Sunday morning. What Kevin Van Dam needs to do right now is put that rod down and pick up the Carolina rig.
And
Look, he's doing it.
You're that armchair analyst.
You know what? I'm glad that you did that, Mike, because that's what you bring to the show.
Yeah.
We got
BS.
we got a fan letter.
Whether you're right or wrong.
We got a fan letter.
Uh-oh.
And if y'all don't mind, I want to read this to kick off the show.
Okay.
Gary, Steve, and Mike, I would like to take this time to tell you how much I enjoy your show. I think it is great to have 2 airings. If I miss Wednesday, I always try to catch it on Saturday. Just to let you know how sometimes I just sit in the truck Saturday mornings in the yard and listen to the show while I have my coffee.
Because his wife won't allow it on in the house.
That's happened.
Yeah.
It is great how you cover all aspects of the outdoors. Hunting, fishing, salt and freshwater, animal rehabilitation, cooking, law enforcement, and events to be held. I know nothing about the radio world except how to turn it on and tune in, but your quality is good enough to be nationwide or at least southernly. Of course, I consider each of you a personal friend. Also blessed to have you as friends. Gary is just a pleasure to listen to. Steve never fails to have time to talk to me or Lisa, my daughter. Mike has managed to keep a tournament circuit locally because I can remember when there was very little to fish. Now, if I can get these pages apart. Well, I guess I've bored you long enough. Just wanted you to know that there are some of us out there that really enjoy what you do and what you stand for. Keep up the good work and God bless. P.S. Oh, this you may want Mike to read this to you both, Steve and Gary. I know he speaks and spells redneck. Your friend and listener, Billy and Linda Phipps.
Oh, yeah. Great
Is that
letter.
awesome or what?
Thank you, Billy.
How much is that letter going to cost us?
Oh, dude. I'm going to have it framed for sure. Well, the first thing that we want to hit today is our BASS, the poll results, and what's your bass IQ?
Yeah, the poll results, this was a question the BASS Council asked council members. If you could only visit one of these choice lakes for bass fishing destinations, which would it be?
So this is the council actually determining what's the best lakes in America.
What they where they would want to go.
Yeah.
Well, I will start from the bottom up. Clear Lake was 12%. Clear Lake, California.
Okay.
It was in 4th. Mille Lacs, Minnesota was 19%. Now, I've heard of Mille Lacs, but I just didn't look at it in the forefront of bass fishing. Mm-hmm. El Salto, Mexico. Have you been there, Gary?
I have.
Have you been there, Mike?
No.
No? I thought you'd been there. You speak Mexican, don't you?
You went without me, Gary?
Yes, sir. I went to San Lorenzo. I went to Hidalgo.
Don't you speak Mexican?
I hit it down there, but I stopped at the border.
Yeah. Far as you
Was
got.
that voluntary?
until I was handcuffed.
Yeah. That was before the wall. Okay. The number one destination,
Yeah.
Toledo Bend Reservoir.
Really?
Yep. 39% want to go to Toledo Bend.
When did they do the poll?
2 weeks ago.
Wasn't yesterday, was it?
No, because this is May's issue. So
If they'd have done it yesterday, what would
it would not be Toledo Bend. It should have been Sam Rayburn number one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
That's kind of cool. Okay, your bass IQ.
Yeah, here we go.
Who's the smartest of the
I have
three?
not pre-read these or nothing.
I know.
So
There's going to be one that doesn't have an answer. You know that.
I will read like a third grader probably here, like Mike Gary says. In 2005, which state changed its official state fish from the largemouth bass to the smallmouth? Alabama, Kentucky, Michigan, or Tennessee? That's tough.
Michigan.
I'm going to say Kentucky.
I'm going to go with Kentucky. No, Kentucky would be the Kentucky bass. It wouldn't be a smallmouth. Michigan.
Tennessee.
Wow.
Well, that's wrong.
That's because of Pickwick.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
because of
the Tennessee River chain.
Pickwick is probably, wouldn't you say, the number one smallmouth fishery in the U.S.?
It's part of that Pickwick chain of lakes, Tennessee River of lakes.
I mean, it can't be ahead of the Great Lakes.
Oh,
I
they
don't
say
know, man.
Pickwick.
Smallmouth?
Yeah, they say Pickwick is unbelievable when it comes. It's so deep and so clear.
Okay, number 2. Who was the first angler to sign up for BASS founder Ray Scott's All-American Bass Tournament on Beaver Lake in Arkansas?
The first to sign up?
Yeah, in 1967. Number A, Don Butler. B, Bill Dance. C, Stan Sloan. Or D, Leo Welsh. I think I know this.
Stan Sloan.
Don Butler.
Don Butler?
I think it's Bill Dance.
Okay.
Let's see here. Drum roll, please. It was Welsh. We're all wrong.
Okay.
Welsh was the first to register. His letter to Scott was signed Lunker Leo Welsh, Burlington, Iowa. Biggest bomber bass boy.
I wonder if he had one of those. Wonder if he had one of those old bowling shirts that had his sewn on patches all over it and Lunker Leo written on the back.
Scare shirts. That's when we used to think that the number of patches on our shirt was in direct proportion to
the amount of weight you were going to have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He arrived at the tournament complete with local police escort and sirens and flashing lights.
Way to go.
I want to do that this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Let's show up at the BFL like that.
I've been taken away from a tournament like that. Not shown up.
Yeah. All right, number 3. Who was the first person inducted to the International Game Fish Association Hall of Fame primarily for his accomplishments in bass fishing industry? A, Homer Circle. That's Gary's buddy.
Yeah.
B, Roland Martin. No comment. C, Johnny Morris. No comment. D, Ray Scott. Great guy.
Homer Circle.
That's a toss-up.
Homer Circle.
Yeah.
You think Homer?
I'm going to say first, but Johnny Morris is one of the biggest contributors to conservation in the United States.
But Homer is the oldest in that bunch.
Right.
I'm going with C. I'm going to go with Johnny Morris. You're going with Homer?
Yeah.
I'm going with Homer.
You're going with Homer?
I'm not going with him, but I date him.
The 9-time Toyota Bassman Angler of the Year winner
Roland Martin
was inducted. It had to be Roland Martin. Doesn't even say his name. Doesn't say who the answer is.
Had to be Roland Martin.
B. Yeah, Roland Martin.
Yeah.
Yep. He won 9-time Angler of the Year.
Wow.
And how about that? Number 4, last one. What angler joined BASS Millionaires Club tournament prize money earnings for more than $1 million in the fewest events? Casey Ashley, B, Boyd Duckett, C, Chris Lane, or D, Justin Lucas?
Golly.
I'm going to say Boyd. I think that big.
Golly.
He won the Classic that
I'm going to
year.
say he's the one that needed it the least.
Oh, no
Probably
doubt.
so.
Yeah.
That's, you know what? Does that make you fish different when you don't need the money?
Oh, ain't no doubt. Don't
Yeah.
you think it does?
You
Don't
know,
you think it does?
I think you
I don't think it's a plus.
that you don't need the money.
No,
You
absolutely
think being
not.
hungry will make
Yes,
you fish better?
Absolutely.
They think that's why Kevin Van Dam has been. He's never worried about entry fees or having to pay his the next tournament to make a living, and he's just been to back his boat in the water and go fishing. He ain't
Yeah.
worried about the money.
Wow.
So that's
Who
what a
is
lot
it?
of people attribute. Who'd y'all say? Who'd you say?
I'll say Casey Ashley because he won the Classic.
I'm going with Boyd.
Give me another one.
Chris Lane or Justin Lucas?
I'll say Lucas. It couldn't be Chris
Well,
Lane.
you're both wrong. I'm right. Boyd Duckett needed
Yeah.
just 56 tournaments to surpass 7 figures.
Wow.
Pretty good.
And Larry Nixon was the first one to go past it, and he was the only one in that club until like Denny Brower came along.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a tournament.
And he was fishing when the money wasn't very big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
We've got we had a tournament over the weekend, and we got some salutes.
as a matter of fact, there was only one tournament in the world this Saturday.
Yeah.
Only one that mattered.
That's it.
That's it. Hats off to Mechanical Concept having their 5th annual scramble tournament down on Red River, but it was a scramble. You could fish about 6 or 7 different
Did you hear
lakes.
who won this?
Yeah, I already heard.
Da-da-da-da.
Are you listening, Topwater? Hey, Topwater, we need like some fanfare here.
Even a squirrel
The
finds a
winners of
nut
this
once in a
tournament,
while.
you know.
Does that one work?
The Mechanical Concept 5th annual tournament held out of Red River South, and the winner is
We need sirens and flashing lights.
Mike Fisher and Mike Eccles.
See? Look at there. Hey.
26 pound, 26-15. Second place, Randy Deaver, Billy Joe Burney, with their hats in their hand because I thought they were going to beat me up. 25-25. Ryan Wagner and Gary Wagner were third. They had 24-66. Stuart Toney and Claude Eccles. Everybody said
You beat your brother?
I know it. Shut up.
Man.
I've heard that. 21-58. Kevin Latu and Gary Allen, 20.70. Big Bass went to Raymond Kidd, the boat mechanic. And Alex Bradford, they had a 7.97. Beat us out. We had a 7.30-something.
Did you catch a lot of fish?
Didn't catch about 15, but we had our fish by 8:30, and troll motor went out at 9.
Wow. Did you catch any other fish with the trolling motor out, or did you?
Just a few. We just couldn't stay.
Was there enough wind to blow around?
that's what we needed. I mean,
Okay.
we couldn't stay in the wind.
Oh, I got
that
you.
was the
Yeah.
problem. But, mechanical concept, and I apologize to all the other people there. Ty Humphrey's the only one I remember. Ty and his dad were there, but all the people at Mechanical Concept, great deal. They had it catered, door prizes at the wazoo, and they just did an outstanding job. And I can't thank them enough for first letting me enter in the tournament, something to do Saturday, and second for giving me the money.
Hey,
Thank
look
you
at
for
here.
that. But
That's always
great
good.
job, good bunch of people.
We're hooking up and tracking down. Don't forget some outdoor outlaws on the way. And before this hour is up, David Croissant from the CCA and the invasive beetle problem that's affecting the roseau cane right now. That's right here. Hooking up and tracking down, 11:30, The Tiger. When I read that, I said, when it said invasive, I said Salvania. Oh, well, I was like, no. Well, no, there are, the basin is starting to have some issues with Salvania. Yeah. It's not. Really? Yes. I didn't know that. Where does that come from? Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, but those were bull sharks, and supposedly they can handle a lot of fresh water. Right. Oh my God. Oh my God. Were they jumping but I mean, were they jumping like when the boat passed by, like those? Oh my God. That's it. Wow. Were y'all in the river, or were y'all in the international? Oh, so you were coming back up. Wow. Have you ever fished out of Venice, Steve?
Thanks for tuning us in today. This segment is presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, J&J Exterminating, Redneck Reflections, V&M Baits, and Paul's Farm and Garden. Get your garden ready for spring by stopping by Paul's Farm and Garden. Now, back to the guys who love fresh vegetables, Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and Steve Graff.
Thanks a lot for hanging out with us. I'm Gary McCoy. He is the old mud hen, Mike Eccles. There's the Daiwa Ranger Pro Staffer, Steve Graff.
Dinkmaster.
And some outdoor outlaws. Guys just cannot play by the rules for some reason.
Mike, you want me to do the first one?
Well,
Poaching,
you on the show.
brains not required. Meet Billy Ray Herring from Quitman, Texas.
Welcome
to the show, Billy.
That's a Texas guy. Billy Ray. Hey.
Billy Ray.
You know him. He's from over at Quitman. Goes
Yeah.
fishing over on Fork all the time. That's him.
He married Butch and Becky's girl. All right, Billy's a game.
You know, she's cross-eyed.
Yeah, Billy's a game law violator who couldn't leave well enough alone.
Her
so to
tongue's
speak.
always kind of hanging to the side.
On the opening day of deer season, Herring shot a massive 14.9 typical buck. After the fact, he decided it might be a good idea to purchase a hunting license.
There's a neat deal.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I got this deer.
There's a thought. Herring just might have gotten away with his violation if he hadn't let his ego get the best of him. Instead, he decided to enter his illegally taken deer in more than one East Texas big buck contest, including one sponsored by the Tyler Morning Telegraph newspaper. When Billy's buck won the paper's top prize, the follow-up photo and article about the deer and the hunter prompted at least one concerned citizen to come forward. This is where your buddies come into play.
Put it on Facebook. Come on.
A witness told Texas Parks and Wildlife game wardens he saw Herring with the buck around 6:45 in the morning, while computer records showed his license was purchased at 8:18 a.m. Herring claimed to contest officials that he killed the deer at 5:10 in the evening. Herring pleaded guilty to tampering with a government record and was sentenced to 2 years probation. Fraud charges associated with the buck contest were dropped as part of the plea agreement. Fines, court costs, and restitution exceed $12,000.
You know where it says? It says prompted at least one concerned citizen to come forward. That could be replaced. That concerned citizen is also the same thing as the guy who thought he could get a reward.
Yeah.
Or the guy who finished second in the contest.
There you go. That's it.
He's going to have to sell his trailer house.
You don't ever have that happen in a bass tournament, do you, Mike? The guy that finished second complain? That don't ever happen, does it?
I almost had to DQ second place one time.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
For unsportsmanlike conduct.
And it wasn't me either.
Did you throw a flag?
I said second, not 102nd.
No respect.
Yeah, you do the next one, because I like the third one.
A decision to brag on the internet hunting site.
Uh-oh.
What is it about guys that,
Stupid.
Yeah.
you know,
What happened to just put it on the hood of your truck
now
and
wait a
drive
minute.
around?
Let me give you something real quick. This is something that a very influential man in my life told me that guy. He told me a long time ago. Loose lips sink ships.
Yeah.
There's certain things you just keep to yourself.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's true.
You run your mouth. Now, I that's where this is going. A decision to brag on an internet hunting site about taking 2 bucks on the opening day of West Virginia's firearms deer season has proven costly to the poacher and his father. Got 2 of them. I shot them both.
Yeah.
On January 23rd, several citizens notified the West Virginia Department of Natural Resources that Robert Daniel Murphy Kane II, a 26-year-old Bridgeport man, posted photographs of himself with 2 whitetail bucks online, claiming to have shot both deer on opening day. The legal bag limit is 1 per day. Under the incriminating message board heading, Opening Day Bucks, the braggart violator disclosed details of the 2 deer kills. An investigation by Harrison County conservation officers resulted in Kane being charged with 5 wildlife law violations, including conspiring to violate Chapter 20 of the West Virginia State Code, failure to field tag a deer, illegal possession of a buck deer, hunting after killing a legally killed deer, and exceeding the daily bag limit of buck deer. I never even thought about that. You've just, in Louisiana, you can kill an antlerless and an antlered deer legally in the same day. I don't know. This might be something for our friends at Wildlife and Fisheries. If you stay in the stand after that, like this guy continued to hunt, if you stay in the stand after you've taken those 2, are you in violation of the law? Maybe you're just wanting to see, does anything still show up in the evening? Could I be here tomorrow evening and repeat this? You know what I'm saying?
I got a scenario for you, too, before we get to Mike's.
Okay. Well,
Okay, go ahead.
Kane wound up pleading no contest to the charges, fined $861.50 total, which included a replacement fee for the illegally killed buck. They also confiscated his 10-point rack, which was waiting to be mounted at a taxidermist. Proving the adage that an apple doesn't fall from the tree, Kane's father, 53-year-old Robert Daniel Kane, was assessed $381 on 3 charges involving conspiring with his son in game law violations and illegal possession of buck deer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this cost him
$900 and his deer.
Yeah,
The deer.
cost between them, 2 of them, over $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Just to put your
Yeah.
picture on the internet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You could hire an agent and become famous cheaper than that.
I got a scenario for y'all when you're through. Go ahead.
Every now
Mike.
and then, you ought to just reach up there and just stab yourself in the head a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
What Ron White says, you can't fix stupid.
Can't fix stupid.
Yeah. Poachers get pizza and citation delivered. Oh, my gosh. A Texas Parks and Wildlife Department of Game Warden utilizes some particularly creative tactics leading to the apprehension of some unsuspecting game law violators. One early fall day, the unidentified TPWD warden was in the process of observing some illegal dove hunting activity from a distance while trying to determine how to advance safely and strategically. Apparently, he didn't own a ghillie suit. About that time, the officer reportedly heard a vehicle approaching from his rear. That can hurt. At first, he thought it was more hunters coming to join the ones he was watching, but he soon realized it was a pizza delivery truck.
Hey,
With brilliantly
DiGiorno.
deducted insight, the warden stopped the truck, asked the driver if he might be on his way to deliver pizza to the group of dove hunters who already had enough beer.
Wait a minute. Who thinks of having pizza
I
delivered?
do.
Have you ever had pizza delivered to the dove
I've
field?
tried to.
No, I hadn't.
But I've tried to get it delivered to the gate of our duck lease in Texarkana.
Can you imagine me and you calling, from down in Uncle Gary's? Hey, Johnny's.
Yeah.
Y'all look, we're out here by this big oil location.
We need 3 large hamburgers with bell pepper and onions, please. Thin crust.
The response was affirmative from the Pizza Hut kid, or pizza guy. After convincing the driver he needed an assistant for the remainder of his route, the warden was chauffeured directly into the group of unsuspecting game violators, where he politely delivered some supreme hunting citations.
With anchovies.
Yeah,
That
we
is classic. Hats off to that game warden.
That's about as good as...
I met a really polite game warden the other day. His last name was Walker. It was over on Cross Lake, and I can't remember, maybe Wesley Walker. First time I have ever been approached by a game warden, not the Lake Patrol, but first time I've ever been approached by a game warden on Cross Lake, and really a cool guy. He was out there and was in a John boat. I mean, really working for a living. So
You know what I did
hats off to him.
yesterday?
What?
And I'm going to tell on myself. And I hope maybe they won't write me a ticket. Man, I don't know, man. I might not better say nothing.
You better shut up.
Okay, scenario.
While the getting's good, get out.
Scenario.
This guy you know.
Okay, you on your stand, Gary. You shoot at a deer, a buck. Okay, you get down there, you stand. 30 minutes later, you think, okay, let me go look for blood, and you realize, okay, I didn't hit the deer.
Yeah.
Okay, you go back to your stand. Hour and a half later, you drop a buck in his tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, get down. You find that buck, and somebody comes across the other buck that you thought you missed. You didn't realize you shot that buck.
Yeah.
Are you in violation?
Yes.
Yes.
You're still in violation.
You are in
'Cause
violation.
You killed 2 bucks in one
Yeah.
day.
You are in violation.
Yeah, and that's where you better self-report.
Well, that's one of those.
Or do you keep it quiet?
I'm not saying nothing.
And an answer to going
This
back,
show is such
can
a-
you
Hey, Steve, you killed that other deer, didn't you? Wait. Yeah.
sitting in a stand after you've killed a deer
Yeah.
or 2 deer,
Yeah.
and just to watch, you can't do it with a loaded gun.
That's what I was asking you a minute ago.
I know. I mean,
Okay.
Well, say it again.
You didn't give me a chance to answer.
Okay,
Oh.
say it again. Repeat that.
I just said it.
He just
You
Say it
cannot-
again.
You cannot
What I said-
sit. You cannot sit in a stand with a loaded gun if you've already killed your
Your
deer,
limit.
your deer or 2 deer.
Yeah.
Antlerless. No, you're hunting.
If you've shot a doe and a buck,
Yeah.
which is the maximum
Right,
any given
right.
day, then you have to. Now, can
I
you
wouldn't have
stay
thought
in the
that,
stand
though.
without a loaded gun?
Sure.
Can you sit in the stand with a gun that's not loaded?
Does that be in the chamber to be loaded, or your cartridge has to be?
God,
We're hooking up and tracking down.
we're crazy.
11:30. The Tiger. You did not have a life jacket in the boat. Wow. When this game warden checked me and Pete the other day, it was kind of crazy. He came driving up. just rained a little bit, and then it was kind of over. And but at any rate, he pulls up, and we immediately start getting our license. I was sitting there. No, I was sitting. His last name was Walker. That's what I said on the air. Any rate, so I'm getting my license. Pete got his out. I said, "You got to be careful with his. It's taller than him." And oh, I know, but no, but Pete, but that was a, but that was a joke that Pete had told before, so I felt like I could say that one. I don't pick at him, and oh God, we got 10 seconds. Any rate, I said, "You want to check and see if we got any fish?" He said, "That's the first thing I noticed when I got here."
You're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, presented by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, Louisiana Coastal Conservation Association, and Lake Fork Marina, the #1 marina resort on Lake Fork, now with a new and improved tackle store. Once again, here's Steve, Gary, and Mike.
Hey, do you want to know what's on the minds of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show guys? You really don't.
That's a loaded
if
question.
If you do, you need prayer.
That's a loaded 2 seconds to tell you.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, check out our blog page at HUTDshow.com. If there's one thing we're not short on, it's an opinion and being wrong. You'll hear straight from the horse's mouth, and on occasion you hear from the other end of the horse when Mike talks, about how we feel about certain issues pertaining to the outdoors. Whether you agree or disagree, at least you'll know where we stand on the issues at hand. So go to HUTDshow.com for our latest blog and so much more. HUTDshow.com, the best resource for outdoor news and information.
Good job, Gary.
The United Rentals question of the day. Hey, I got the chance to introduce Mike the other day to David Dushel.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to the CCA
nice
banquet
guy.
last Thursday. Yeah, ain't he great?
Oh, David, your bill's in the mail.
Okay. David was like, "You know what? I really appreciate what you guys are doing, but I hope you're not doing it for free. Y'all need to send me some."
I actually emailed it to you, David. So.
But what a great guy. And the only person that I knew that was better than David was his dad. We called him Uncle Sonny. Any rate, the
That's
United
my father-in-law's name, Sonny.
They sure is. I forgot about that. Yeah. The United Rentals question of the day: what are the best baits and techniques for catching bass in the tough month of May?
Would y'all agree May's tough?
I think it depends on what lake you're on.
Okay.
And it depends on where the fish are in the cycle. Because I'm telling you, you and I have been with Johnny Geis on Lake Fork in May and had the best fishing trip I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that is true. That's true.
But I've been on Caddo before in May.
Yeah.
And couldn't buy a
Black
bite.
Lake can be brutal in May.
What's the toughest lake around here for you in May, generally speaking?
I can catch fish anywhere.
Says he who just won a tournament.
Yeah. How many of us in this room have won a tournament this year?
I told him I'm retired. I'm getting a plaque made.
Yeah.
I won everything I entered in 2007.
There you go. He's a grand champion.
Angler of the year.
HUTD. All lakes can be tough. I think your deeper lakes are not as tough.
Yeah.
Because I think you've got fish that live in deeper water, and they are not. Don't seem to be as affected by the spawn transition.
Mm-hmm.
So Toledo Bend, Lake Fork, I think they're good. I used to have a lot of trouble with fishing in May on Cross Lake, but you still catch them.
Isn't that the month that they say the fish start to look up? Top water becomes your better presentation in the month of May?
As opposed to the other 11 months where they stand on their head?
They look down.
What are you asking? What?
You never heard
Do
that?
you sit at home at night?
You have never heard that?
How
You
stupid
got
a
okay.
question.
We're gonna ask Davey Height that because that's the month they actually
we're
start
not.
looking up. Yeah, we are.
No,
Yeah, we
you
are.
are. You're on a limb by yourself on that one.
Hey, when I saw a
the
fish,
month of
David,
May.
what month do the fish start looking up?
when I saw a fish on the
Sounds stupid
internet,
when y'all ask it.
Hey, we took our Mickey Mouse rod.
Can you turn their mics off? I'm talking. When I saw a fish break through the ice to try to get a frog,
Oh, that is
this
a great
year,
video.
They look up 12 months out of the
It's
year.
probably true. You're probably right.
Fish
You're
are
probably right.
99% more apt to go up to take a bait than they
Yeah.
are to go down.
Where are a fish's
Right.
eyeballs located on their head?
Top of their head.
Top of their head.
There you go.
So they're more apt to look up all the time.
And you're right.
they're always
I
looking
think that you need to ask Hyatt that question.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, we'll ask him.
Can
that.
we leave for that segment?
Okay, here's the deal.
Okay,
Yeah,
so do you think top water is the time to be throwing in May?
I think smart people can catch them about 11 and a half months out of the year on top water.
Yeah.
I really do. The thing with me in May, post spawn, is that two things are happening. They're not wanting to bite aggressively.
Right.
They are geared to smaller baits.
Mm-hmm.
Your bass have spawned, fry, brim have spawned,
Right.
shad have spawned.
Right.
So they get away from, for a little while, get away from hitting big baits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think they're more keyed into color than any other time of the year.
Why is that?
Because they're feeding on shad, and the shad are this long and that color.
I got you.
Yeah, what you're saying, Gary, when the leaves turn green?
Yeah, that was something that David Parker told me a long time ago. The minute
Well, David told me they look up in May. So
No.
the minute the leaves start turning green,
don't you dare.
David always said the minute the leaves turn green, that's when you want some green in your bait.
Yeah.
Because, the natural predators, things like chameleons and all the bugs
Right.
and grasshoppers and stuff like that comes about, and it's all green.
Well, it's funny you
just
should
time of
say
year.
that because yesterday I went from black emerald, I switched over to straight watermelon, and I actually started getting more bites. But I also say this: the wind picked up after lunch on Toledo yesterday.
Now, if
And
you
I think the
remember,
bite happened.
if you remember last year on Toledo, it was in early May when Kevin Van Dam almost hit the century
100-pound
mark.
Yeah.
May every year. There's a lot of guys right now that are getting ready for the Bob Seeley Big Bass Splash, and I'm going to tell you that it's held every year in May.
Yeah.
And there are times when some of those fish on Toledo will back off into those crankbait holes if you're fishing the north side of the lake, around Calbao
Yeah,
or even further north. That I'm telling you, you can catch some toads. So it really depends. I think if you can catch a wave of fish that have gone through post spawn, they are eaten.
So another technique or method would be crankbait.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Toledo or
And I agree
Lake
with
Fork,
Mike
Sam
too. The
Rayburn.
fact I think small worms, the straight tail worms,
Yeah.
your trick worms, your finesse type worms, I think those seem to do really well. The other thing, Mike, we've talked about a little bit. Matter of fact, you talked about it off the air when I was up in Grand Lake,
I
Oklahoma.
don't talk to you off there.
The jig that's out. You knew the Ned rig,
No, yeah. Mm-hmm.
which has got a straight tail. They call it the turd.
Turd.
I'm not being ugly. I'm just-
They've been doing that on
Because-
Lake Fork for a while. Remember Johnny showed us that a couple of years ago.
This is a EK jig, and it's an actual jig with a skirt on it, and it's made by EK Jigs, and it's got a skirt on it, and you put that little turd straight. I threw it yesterday, and I shook 2 fish with it yesterday. It's a small jig, but I threw it on the boathouses, and I actually had 2 good bites on it.
Small
so-
profile and no action.
Exactly.
Okay.
Minimal action.
Is that important? Sometimes can the bait be too active? Because one of the things that you'll see, especially on Caddo, is there are times when you've got to chunk that bait up there by a tree and don't do nothing.
Yeah.
What do you remember as one of the number one baits when they used to have the KRMD tournament on Lake Bistineau in January? Number one bait. Now I'm talking 35 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd have said
No,
a
it wasn't
jig.
35 years ago we did that. But
30.
I'd have said a jig.
Oh.
Yeah, jig.
Yeah. What kind?
Oh, it was the old Arky jig.
Hair jig.
Hair jigs, yeah.
What kind
Oh.
of trailer? Cream worm, straight tailed trailer.
I'll be dog.
Cold water, when their fish are not active,
Yeah.
they don't want a bait that's got a lot of action because
Right.
they can compute what it's going to take to catch a bait versus
What they're going to get
what they're
back.
going to get out of it.
Right,
And,
right, right.
There's a term for
Right.
that, but that's what you're saying. And when their body temperature is the same as water temperature, they're not going to exert all that energy to try to run something down that
That's
they
true.
think can get away from
You know
them.
what?
So they now you turn around and contradict yourself, and they'll hit
A rattle trap.
a rattle trap.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, exactly.
That's a,
But you
that's
know
a
what?
oddity.
This time of the year, last year, is when Johnny Guy started catching bass on fish heads.
Heads. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was the same principle that was involved then.
I don't know.
Because he was catching them under the white bass, and he said that the black bass were under the white bass, and they were just simply feeding on
Scraps.
the scraps
Yeah.
that the white bass had, the shad and everything that they had hit and killed,
Which
and
the
it
head
fallen
of
to
a
the
brand
bottom.
be no action.
No action.
No action.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now, one of my favorite baits on Cross Lake during post spawn, and I'm talking about a long time ago, was, if you remember, Alan Butler, who passed away last year from the Monroe area, made a little worm called a bass and eel, and it was just about as long as your finger, and it was a flat paddle tail worm.
He made the old bass and crawl too.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that.
I know that,
I'm
but
talking about the bass and eel.
I know, but both of them are great baits.
Okay, but not under. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
The bass and eel on a 1/0 hook, straight tail, paddle tail worm. I mean, with a split shot about 6 inches ahead of it, throwing it out there in just a straight reel.
Yeah.
Small profile bait, no action. That was a good bait on Cross Lake during post spawn.
His crawl worm was also a great bait, and here's why. It was a little bitty crawl
Something
worm.
to talk about.
No, it was a little bitty crawl worm. Bait's the one that turned me on to it.
Well,
he used it as a trailer a lot.
Yeah.
It was a great bait.
I can remember Ben Clemens' cousin, Mark Farner.
Is it a story you can tell on the radio?
Yeah.
Okay.
He
Said
used-
Ben, I want to make sure.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stories we couldn't tell. But Mark used to kill the fish on Caddo on a spinnerbait in May, pulling it up to the tree and just kill the spinnerbait and let it fall.
Let it die.
And and that was one of his, and he would catch a number of big fish back then. But I don't know that Caddo is the same lake it was 20 years ago.
Right. Here's an even better question for y'all. Why is it one lake is good right now and another lake can be so horrible? Rayburn and Toledo Bend.
Salvinia.
No, I'm not buying that one. Why is Rayburn still on fire and Toledo Bend is dead water right now? They're 10 miles apart as the crow flies. Why is one body of water so hot and the other one just dead?
I started thinking about this after we talked to a professional a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to tell you, it's all going to go back to when was the last time you had high water. And I believe that because we had the floods last year, that we probably had a really good spawn, because they say this. Remember, they told us that the spawn doesn't happen that good on low water.
Right.
So, and maybe that was Johnny that told us that. But the long and short is, 4 or 5 years from last year, we will be back to Toledo Bend being great again because of the high water.
Yeah. Tommy Martin told us that.
But because we went through those drought years
right
before that, 5-6 years before that, is we're just now seeing what happened 6 years ago.
Yeah, probably right. And the grass has come back really strong at Sam Rayburn.
And Sam Rayburn really, they went through a drought for a long time, but then all of a sudden it came up and it stayed up.
Yeah.
So maybe they've gotten past
it was
all their
6 feet over pool for 6 months last year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think that the resurgent of Toledo Bend, I don't think it had as much to do. I'm not going to contradict Tommy Martin or somebody like that. I still think it had to do with the lake being so low that people couldn't fish it for 2 years.
Yeah, lack of
pressure.
Yeah, lack of
I
pressure.
think that was the biggest.
Probably
thing.
right.
And as far as high water helping the spawn, if you had a good spawn last year, those fish are 6 or 8 inches, 10 inches long right now. That's doesn't make for a good lake.
I think the most critical part.
No. What I'm saying, that's why I say 5 or 6 years from last year.
Right. But when you have high water, low water, it's all the nutrients, everything that brings into the lake. I don't think that it really makes for that much better spawn. It just rejuvenates the lake as far as the biological index.
And I think, too, once you get grass come back into the lake, like it's at Rayburn right now, grass is everywhere at Sam Rayburn.
It does nothing for the fish except bring them into one area where you can catch them.
Yes.
The fish are still there. They're still biting, but they're out away from where you're not fishing for.
But I think the fry are more protected, too, when you got a lot of grass.
Well, it helps in the spawn. But as far as,
that's my point. The spawn, the grass helps a lot.
The grass just congregates the fish and makes them easy for somebody like
doubt.
you to find.
Yeah, I need to find them then. I just need to find the grass.
I have to live with this every week. Every week. I mean, I feel like on occasions, we're just going to build a ring.
Well, bottom line is, y'all haven't helped me for Toledo this week. What
y'all
am I
go to
supposed
your
to do?
corners.
I can't even tell you how to get there.
Ding, 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 ding. Hooking up and tracking down. Round 3 on the way. 11:30. The Tiger. The river is closed. No. So you're good. Yeah, the ramps are closed. That was always your rule. They have released that they have closed the ramp. In Shreveport. Yeah, I know it's the, yeah. You know, that's where Brian Adams lives. There, Bishop Point. No, I think they've got. I think I don't know if they got a house or a trailer, but he and Kim are out there, and that's where he lives. I don't know. I haven't been to the house, but he told me that's where they live is at Bishop Point. I think he's got a little land. Yeah, yeah. It's replaced her income. He came to me and needed to borrow $25,000 a couple of years ago, and I told him I was like, baby, I just don't have it. I ain't, I don't have 25 grand for anybody. And I said, I mean, I could get it, but I'd have to dig into my retirement. I'm not doing it. But I think he bounced back and got him over the top. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page at Hookin' Up and Trackin' Down Show for outdoors news and some great video tips. This segment is presented by Lake Fork guide Johnny Geis, Toledo Town and Tackle, United Rentals, and Sandtone Lures, keeping anglers in the winner's circle with the best jigs and spinnerbaits available today. Now there's a place these guys don't see very often, the winner's circle. Here's Steve, Gary, and Mike.
And on the phone with us as we're hooking up and tracking down, CCA's David Crisson. And David, I didn't get a chance to visit with you last Thursday at the banquet here at Riverview Hall in Shreveport. But it was a record crowd, and you guys did an incredible job. And it looked like everybody that was there was having a great time. Mike and I were there and got to visit with a bunch of friends and hang around, and some awesome auction items, raffle items. And it looked like that we really hit a home run for CCA last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Shreveport came through big time last Thursday for conservation, and thank our friends that Hook 'em Up, Track 'em Down, our entire committee up there in Shreveport. It was a record crowd, one of our biggest events in the history of North Louisiana for sure, and one of the biggest we'll have this year in the state. That says a lot about the conservation ethic of folks in Shreveport that live a couple hundred miles from the coast but still care enough to come out and support an event like that. So we want to thank everybody who made it. We're going to have another great event in a few weeks in Natchitoches that we'll start to talk about over the next few weeks. So lots going on conservation-wise, and for us to do the work we do across the coast, we do need the support of our members around the state. That's where these events come in. So thanks again to your listeners and to all of our friends in Shreveport who made last week such a big deal.
Well, David, it's just proof that it pays to be associated with Hooking Up and Tracking Down, right?
Well, listen, the proof is in the pudding, guys.
Speaking of pudding, did you try that bread pudding?
Oh, dude!
Yeah, we've been working with you guys now for a few years. We've had record crowds each year for the last 2 or 3. Y'all have helped us get the Natchitoches chapter kicked off, and y'all's listeners as far as Ruston and even Monroe always tell us about what they hear about on Hook 'em Up, Track 'em Down. So thank you again for all the help y'all give us, and know that everything that y'all are doing and our members up there are doing are helping us on the coast and at the Capitol fighting for our fish.
Well, I'm going to tell you, David, I'm going to pat you on the back. You did a great job as the overall MC, and you created, and the group created a great atmosphere. It was and I've been going to banquets for 40 years, and I can tell you the good ones, some of them just, you have a good time. Mm-hmm. Type of music, volume of music, the way you do the raffle.
The loudness of the music.
Right.
Sometimes.
Because the older you get, the harder you have trouble hearing the guy talking to you.
Exactly.
Everything y'all did to quality level there. It was a great time.
Well, thank you for that. And
something caused my head to hurt the next day. I don't know. I think it was the music, but I'm not sure.
I don't think that was the music, though, Mike.
Oh well.
but the credit for that goes to our great chapter up there, all our great volunteers. I know some of them are listening as we speak, and we, it's easy for us because we do it from time to time, but it's the volunteers that really get all the work done and get all the butts in the seats, as we say, and I really appreciate y'all being there. So,
David,
and again, like I said, it's important that we have those events so that when we get to the Capitol and have important things to fight for, our members around the state are engaged.
Well, David, let's talk a little business here. Something going on down in South Louisiana you guys are dealing with. We have to deal with the invasive species called salvinia. Y'all got a beetle problem that's affecting the roseau cane down there, which could end up being a major issue for you guys.
Yeah, we sure do, and we're still figuring out what it is. It sounds like it's a beetle or a bug of some sort, scale, and it's I'm going to mess up the scientific name of it, so I'm not even going to try it. But we have engaged with the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries and the Department of Ag, who are doing the majority of the work, trying to figure out what exactly it is, what can be done about it. CCA has offered our resources to both groups, because whether it comes to volunteers out in the field helping out or whatever it might be. It sounds I haven't seen it in person. The areas that are being mostly affected down in that bird's foot of Venice is exactly where I spend most of my time fishing, and one of the most beautiful places on the planet, if you ask me. So it's an issue. We've got to find some solutions for it. The problem is you're talking about such an expansive area down there. The good news is that there will be a report given tomorrow at the Wildlife and Fisheries Commission meeting. I think there'll be a lot of interest in this, and it's kind of the cool thing about the way that we run our fisheries here in Louisiana is that when a problem gets up on us, we're able to react pretty quickly and start to find solutions, as opposed to like the federal government, which, as we know, works at a glacial pace. So our state is doing all they can to find out what it is and how it can be fought off, and we're going to keep our members posted as we hear more.
David, when was this recognized, and was it just locals down there saying, okay, that patch of roseau cane that I came to fish is dead?
And when you say down there, Are we talking about the Venice area? Are we talking about
the whole state
area?
Well, it's mostly out of Venice is what I'm hearing. I do think that they encounter this issue in other places, but I think what we found is that this particular case down in Venice is the result of some high waters early, and the bugs sort of proliferating beyond what we've seen in other places. So it's mostly in Venice is what we're hearing right now, but of course it could spread easily, and we don't want to alarm folks, but it's something that's being considered very seriously. But yes, what happened, and the way we found out about it is local fishing guides and local fishermen started seeing patches of grass that they used to fish on, and they'd go out there 2 weeks later, and they'd look kind of burnt and brown and dead, and more so than usual, and not because of weather or wind or cold weather. And so they started looking into it and found that it was an invasive bug species that's creating this problem, and immediately started getting the scientists involved. And
you know what? I hate to David, I don't want to paint the worst case scenario, but let's just say that you couldn't get a handle on this. I mean, that roseau cane down there is probably the biggest ingredient in that entire ecosystem. That would be like killing every cypress tree in Caddo Lake. And because, I mean, that roseau cane holds all that soil. It's the glue. So, I mean, this is something you have to get on right now.
Yeah, they're on it for sure. And now, of course, they don't know how it's going to react during the heat of the summer, or when the winter rolls around, how will this bug be affected? Those are the things they're working on. But I can tell you, it's being treated very seriously, and I think they're doing everything they can to find an answer and to start working through some of the solutions. So
Mm-hmm.
I know the Department of Ag and the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries has been down in the marsh with great frequency in the last several weeks, especially since we started hearing more and more about it.
Well, give us a quick update if you got it. If you got any info on the Star Tournament.
Well, yeah, the Star Tournament, folks. Of course, for all your listeners, it starts Memorial Day. It ends with Labor Day. It's more than 100 days of fishing. You do not want to fish saltwater this season, this year, this summer, without having a Star ticket in your pocket. And the reason is because we have added double the amount of redfish to the marsh this year. We're putting out 100 tagged redfish.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we had 50 out. We had 8 of them caught by unregistered anglers. That's a shame, and it's a hard phone call to make every year when we have to tell those folks they didn't win a brand new Chevy truck. We have 2 trucks to give away, 100 tagged redfish, all the other divisions that go along with it. It's only $30 to participate. Kids are free, so there's no reason for you to be out on the water this summer without a Star ticket. And of course, the proceeds from the Star Tournament, 100% of those dollars stay right here in Louisiana, and they go towards the work we're doing on the coast and at the Capitol. So sign up for Star. Go to ccalouisiana.com. There's a button right on the front page. Get you all signed up, ready to go.
Do you make a little package deal where you can get your membership into the CCA and your Star tag at the same time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You go there. It's $60 for a standard adult. Excuse me. That's your membership and your Star ticket. Like if you come to the banquet last week, your membership ticket's included in the tickets. You just pay the $30 for the Star. But if you go to the website, it makes it very easy for you to get your membership, your Star ticket, your wife's Star ticket, your kid's Star ticket, all together to where you can pay for it all at once and be done. So we make it as easy as possible, and again, we use all that money to help us at the Capitol on the coast.
David, thank you again,
Yep.
and thank you for that great banquet last week. Thank you for everything that you brought to the area. It was awesome. And, of course, David Croissant from the CCA. Again, give that website if somebody wants more information on their Star ticket, or maybe, some of the upcoming banquets like the one in Natchitoches.
I'll do that quick, but I want to mention to folks real quick, guys, if I can, House Bill 156, oysters in Cameron Parish. We're going to need all the support we can get for this to save the oyster resources in Big Lake and in Sabine. I'd encourage all your listeners, go check it out. Stephen Dwight's bill, House Bill 156, passed through committee. It's gone to the House. It will be a conservation effort to save oyster resources in Calcasieu and Sabine. As far as CCA, join CCA.com. Get all the information you need. You can find out about House Bill 156, sign up for Star, find out about the upcoming banquets, the whole 9 yards.
Fantastic. David Croissant from the CCA. Thank you, brother. We look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, fellas. Good to talk to you.
We are hooking up and tracking down. Oh, that'd be terrible if I didn't tease the fact that Davey Height is up next. Yes, ESPN's TV co-host of the Bassmasters, Davey Height, going to wrap up Ross Barnett and give us a preview of Sam Rayburn. That's right here. Hooking up and tracking down, 11:30, The Tiger.
God cleans them. Heaven knows he saves every soul that believes him.
We're good. We got the camp next week. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to another hour of first-class outdoors radio entertainment. This segment is presented by Ranger Boats, Sam Rayburn Marina Resort, Commercial Power Equipment, and the Bob Seeley Big Bass Splash Series. Go to SeeleyOutdoors.com to learn more or to register for the next Seeley Big Bass Tournament. Here's Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and the Dink Master himself, Steve Graff.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger, Gary McCoy, the old mud hen Mike Eccles, and the Ranger Pro Staffer Steve Graff. And on the phone with us, we want to welcome you to Big Time Radio.
Yeah.
I know this is your first time. Don't be nervous. Just if you can, just try to keep up with us, and we'll be real gentle. He is ESPN's TV co-host, former Bassmaster superstar.
Yeah. Now you got to remember, he's used to working with Mark Zona, so he can probably handle
God
us.
love him. You know what? I understand. Everybody has to start
there
somewhere.
could be dozens of people listening right now.
Sure. Hey, we could do hundreds of dollars
Why don't
in
you
damage.
tell somebody who you're talking about?
Davey Height on the phone with us. Hello, Davey Height.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great.
See, he does just like everybody else. The minute I say hello, he says, "Hey, Steve."
Well, Steve's the one that did all the work.
Sure,
That's
he
right.
is. Yeah,
Davey, how you doing, man?
Hey, Davey. Around the clock here. On the left side of your radio dial is me, Gary McCoy, and then in the center we've got the star, the celebrity, Steve Graff, and then over there in the little special section we've got the outline of the body on the floor there, the chalk outline. That's Mike Eccles.
It sounds like you guys are having fun today.
No, this is terrible. They have to pay us to come here.
And these guys aren't even drinking, Davey.
Speak for yourself. Hey, David, I'm gonna go ahead and tell somebody. We just talked about this a while ago. When I heard you were going to become an analyst for BASS, I said to them, I said, Davey is such a nice, quiet-spoken individual. I said, I don't see this being a big hit. You are not only as good as I've ever seen. I mean, you're better than anybody with the way you do this. They could not have made a better choice. So I'm sure it pleases you to know that you've got my seal of approval.
There you go. He'll sleep well tonight.
And I wanted to thank you personally for that, because he looks so cool with all that crow sticking in his mouth like that. David,
thank you so much. Those are certainly kind words. I appreciate that more than you know. I was really nervous. It was a big decision for me to leave the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. I've been doing the same thing for 24 years, chasing fish all over this country. But I knew that I didn't want to still be fishing the Bassmaster Elite Trail when I was 60, 65 years old. And
hold on, you're meddling now.
caught me off guard. But I'm going to fish tournaments until I'm 6 feet under. But it's a grind being out there on the road. And it was a tough decision, but I really appreciate it, because I promise you I was very nervous my first few shows, especially being around Tommy Sanders and Mark Zona. I mean, they're just awesome.
After 24 years, what hurts? Because that's a wear and tear on your body.
What doesn't hurt would be easier to describe. What doesn't hurt? Elbows, wrists, back, those sort of things. And I worked out more the last couple off seasons than I had since I was in the military, because I knew I needed to really try to stay in shape as much as I could. But fishing 6-7 days in a row, and then several times we had back-to-back events. You'd fish 7 days. On your day off, you could drive 800 miles, and then you'd fish 6 or 7 more days.
When you see these young anglers that are out there now, this is something that these young guys, how often do they come to you and say, what's the best piece of advice you could give me? What do you usually tell them?
Well, this sport has been so good to me that it is important to me. With this job, that's why I appreciate the kind words so much, because it's really important to me to try to give back. And I'll just use Jordan Lee for an example, a young guy that did a heck of a job and won the Bassmaster Classic. And I didn't even wait for him to come to me. I went to him and I said, you're going to have a lot going on. If there's any way I can help you, give you a little advice, or just anything sponsor-wise or anything like that, just feel free to give me a call. I'll be glad to talk to you, and I will be 100% honest with you. Might not tell you what you want to hear, but I'll tell you, what I've learned in the last 24 years.
Sometimes that's the best, isn't it? Sometimes hearing what you don't want to hear.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. What would you say? This is something that we've asked of a number of guests that have been on before that have had careers like yourself, like Larry Nixon and some of the other guys. What would you say would be the one thing you wish you had now, or you had 20 years ago that you have now? If you were competing
tackle-wise.
Yeah, if you were competing a competing angler tackle-wise, what do you wish you'd have had 20 years ago that's available today?
Man, a bunch of things just came across my mind. I guess just one particular bait, a Cinco.
Yeah.
That's 100% of every angler we've spoken to.
Everybody said the same thing.
And nobody else could have them for about 10 years. I think it's what a lot of money.
You got the only sack of them left.
Well, Davey, let's talk about, speaking of young guns, Dustin Cannell just came off the big win at Ross Barnett. And again, I'm like Mike. I want to say thank you. Bassmaster Live is the greatest thing that's happened to bass fishing in a long, long time. And you guys do such a wonderful job covering that event. But being in the boat with Dustin as he's idling in and the emotions he went through, you commented on. I mean, he's literally got tears running down his face. He ain't even weighed in yet. And I'm like, it just showed you the emotional side of bass fishing.
You're 100% right, and I had cold chills. I just got them just now, and I'm out on Lake Murray just talking to you guys, and I just had another cold chill just run up and down my spine just thinking about it, because you hear a lot of those young anglers now saying that they dream to be able to do this since they were 12 years old. Back when I first started, you didn't hear many guys say that they started dreaming of it quite that young, but with the high school series, the Carhartt College series, the Bass Live, it's just making a lot of rock stars at a young age. And to see him get so emotional, I mean, I've been there, done that, and even if you've never really experienced that, you can understand, man, when you see tears coming from a guy's face that is in the moment and it's what he's always dreamed of being able to do, and to see it happen. Kevin Van Dam is a great friend of mine. We were roommates for 12 years, so I certainly wanted to see him win in some ways, but how could you not pull for Dustin Cannell?
Oh, yeah.
I think the whole world was pulling for him, and it's just awesome to see those emotions. And when I talked about what a tough grind it is being out there, that's what makes it all worthwhile. That's what guys grind so hard for, is to try to live that one experience one time.
And that's where the Bassmaster Live, I think, has just it's created that connection that we've never really had with the anglers on that emotional side. Yeah, they get the trophy and they win, and you see that, and that's emotional. But I'm telling you, those were precious moments in that boat idling in with him. And you were commenting on him as he made some of those comments. It just really touched a lot of people.
It did, and the reason I'm probably doing what I'm doing today is because they gave me a chance to start doing the first look interviews with the guys right when they checked in. And I was with Jordan Lee a couple times last year when he finished second. I remember Bill Lowen. He's had a great career, but he's never been able to win one of those elite tournaments. I was with him last year, and he was just right there, just barely missed winning one, and tears coming down from under his sunglasses and that sort of thing. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. But to be able to do it at Bass Live, there's just no way to describe it. When you can relay that to the world and they see how passionate these guys are, you got to love it. I mean, my wife doesn't bass fish at all, but she's hooked on Bass Live, and I promise you it's not because she likes to hear me talk for 6 hours.
Well, I can tell you what, there's not a person on the face of the earth likes Bass Live more than Steve Graff's wife, Sherry, because for about 3 days, he leaves her alone.
Away in the man room.
I'm glued. I'm telling you, I'm a fan. I am a fan.
She thought he'd been kidnapped the first time he watched it.
I want to get specific about this event because you've been there before when an event got delayed. All of a sudden, the weather gets really nasty on Sunday. They cancel that day's competition and put it off until Monday. What is that? What's going through those anglers' minds? Those guys know it. Man, my water's going to be all messed up. Everything's going to be trashed. My fish are going to be moved. What do you picture is going through? Especially the young man who's leading the event. He's got it in the bag.
10% of them are happy. Are mad, and 90% of them are happy.
Yeah. That's probably true.
That's right. I'll start with, I'll do what I think's going on in both of their minds. First place, Dustin Cannell, and second, Kevin Van Dam. Dustin probably bit his fingernails all day long sitting in the hotel room, re-rigged his tackle, put on new line about 3 times on each rod and reel. had nightmares of Kevin Van Dam, and Kevin Van Dam thinking, oh, he's in trouble. I get a day's rest. I'm about 50 years old. I'm going to be fresh tomorrow. He's going to have to earn it. And I'm sure they were both very different mindsets, but both of them, had the next day in mind and how things were going to change. The big thing that I think was Justin was very fortunate that they didn't get the rain right in that area that they were really calling for, because we got right in Little Rock where we were in studio, we got like 6 inches of rain, and I thought that was going to just pass right on through those guys. And him fishing up the river like he was, I think his fish would have been toast. But it worked out for him, and the weather that changed, the post-run high pressure, clear skies, I think it really helped his pattern. So, good for him. Good for him. He certainly earned it. Like I say, I don't know of anybody that could have been watching that and wasn't really pulling for him.
And who's the last guy you want behind you?
No, dude. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Here's Dustin Canal thinking, oh, my God. He had nightmares. He had to.
King Kong in a nitro.
That ain't no lie. Well, Davey, Sam Rayburn's coming up, and I know you've been around that neck of the woods before, and, of course, it's absolutely been on fire since January. It's unbelievable how great the fishing is there right now. What are you expecting for this event? Is this going to be a record setter?
I think it'll be our best event all year long. I don't know if it'll be record setter just the winning weight, but I think first through 51st place, the number of places they give checks, I think it'll be incredible what it'll take just to finish middle of the pack there. Everyone I've talked to that's been to Rayburn this year has just said it's unbelievable, including Mark Zona. He said, and if a Michigan, Indiana boy can go to Rayburn and he said it was 50, 60 fish today, just incredible.
Yeah. We going to hit 100 pounds?
Yes, I think the leader will be 100 pounds. I sure do. But I think what will be amazing is not just the leader will catch 100 pounds. I think to make the cut after 2 days, it'll take 40 pounds.
Wow.
40 pounds a day
just to make the cut. Good night.
Is that crazy?
So what will it take to be in the top 12?
After 3 days to make the top 12, probably 70.
Wow.
Between 65 and 70. I'd be shocked if it does. Now, if we have some crazy weather or something just, go wrong there, it'll knock it off. But seriously, and it seems like Toledo Ben and Sam Rayburn, they just go back and forth. One of them will be on fire for about 3 or 4 years, and for some reason the other one seems like it's in a slump, and then all of a sudden here comes the other one. It's just like they're battling to see which is the best fishery in Texas.
Well, Davey, I want to back up real quick because I want your opinion on this. You've had 2 young guns this year win 2 major events, one the Classic and one the Elite Series. What are you seeing in that? Is there something you reading into this that where are these young guys coming from? What's the statue on that?
Well, there's a couple of thoughts there, but here's one thing that I've always thought was true. Fishing is all about experience. Not only just your time on the water, but you've got to have tournament experience. You've got to know that, hey, I need to catch the 5 fish, the right fish to be able to win this thing. It's not always just about catching fish. You've got to have that tournament mentality. And I think what has kind of held our sport back in the past, when a person before Bass Live, before the high school and college series, before we had all this social media and where you could learn so much, it took a man until he was at least 25, 30, and I'm going to say at least 25, but 30, 40 years old before they were really good enough to compete at a national level, in my opinion. But now, just like Dustin Connell, he's talking about fishing tournaments when he was 12. He came up high school fishing. He fished for Alabama. These guys at 25 years old are tournament veterans, and I think that's changed everything.
Wow.
What do you think is the greatest leg up that these young anglers have gotten that some of us older guys weren't privy to when we were young? Is it their understanding of the electronics? Is just the actual electronics themselves? Better understand Google Earth. What's the greatest thing that they've got tool in their bag?
Well, I told you sometimes I talk to people. I tell them what my honest opinion is, and maybe not what they want to hear. And I hope my wife understands this. But the greatest thing a lot of them don't have is a wife.
Oh, woo, man!
Well, that's gonna be the cover of the BASS magazine next month.
Yeah, Bass Times.
Let me back up.
Davey Hart, wife packs up and leaves.
I'm gonna stick with my guns, but I got to clarify that just a little bit.
Yeah.
My wife and my 2 sons are the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Better than holding the Bassmaster Classic trophy over my head. The greatest thing that ever happened. But when you get a wife and kids and house and land and 12 sponsors and all that stuff, it is very, very distracting. And that's why you see a guy that continue on like Kevin has, and he finished second last week with all that he's got going on. He's got a wife and two sons just like I do, and just a lot going on in life. There's a lot of distractions. And we heard Dustin talking on Bass Live on Sunday that he had been fishing for like 30 straight days.
Yeah.
And you get a wife and a family, and there again, I'm not knocking my wife and kids. They're the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life. But when you get so many distractions and so many things going on, it's tough. Now, that being said, before the information age and before the high school and college series, you could overcome that because you get a 20-year-old, even if he's getting to fish more than you, just doesn't have that tournament experience. And I think that's kind of what's changing the guard.
I'm going to go ahead and get you out of trouble, Davey. What would your life be like if you had what you just mentioned? Your life was 100% about bass fishing and fishing tournaments. You did not have
those Christmas mornings with the boys, or things like that.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize you miss out on, or you miss out with, and there's things that happen in my kids' lives that I miss out because I had to be at a tournament. But a little later over in my career, when I realized I didn't have to always miss out on those things, I realized that those things were more important than pre-fishing for a tournament. And it's a give and take, and everybody has a different idea of what works for them and their priorities and this and that. I missed my first son's high school graduation.
Wow.
And that's something you can never get back. And I told my younger son, I apologize to the older. I told my younger one, I don't care if it's first day of the tournament or what day it is, I will be there. And then, sure enough, graduation day came along, and I was like, man, I'm going to have to hire a private jet to fly me. It's going to cost a fortune. So I tried to cut him a deal thinking, man, I really probably need to man, fish just came up schooling behind the boat. I'll talk to you guys later.
I could tell he was distracted.
Okay, Aaron Martin.
but I want to finish this off for sure. I told him, I said, I can have Mom there and have you on live, and we can FaceTime, and I can see the graduation. He was valedictorian, by the way. He does
wow.
Oh, wow.
And I said, it's going to cost me $5,000 to fly there, and I got to turn around and fly right back. I can watch it live. We can FaceTime it, and I'll give you the $5,000. You can put it in your bank account. And you know what he did?
Mm-mm.
He looked just like Dustin Connell. Big old crocodile tear came right down his cheek, and I thought, you dummy, you should have never even suggested that. But that shows you how much it means to my family or to my son for me just to be there. So,
wow.
Things that guys that have been out there for while their kids have grown up, just like Kevin, and there's a lot of other folks.
You offer me $5,000, and I'll cry too.
A lot of times people don't realize the cost that's associated with what you do.
Yeah, especially these guys. I mean, and Dave, years ago, back in the early 2000s, I fished as a co-angler on FLW Tour, and there was a time period back when I was in college, I thought, man, that'd be a fun thing to do, fish for a living. But I'm going to be honest with you. After watching those guys, I got to be good friends with Dion Hebden and Kelly Jordan on the FLW Tour back then. I'm telling you, I was just like, I don't want to do this for a living. I had the utmost respect for those guys and the time, the sacrifices. Dion said the hardest thing he ever went through was when his family came off the road. Kids got in junior high, started playing ball, and had to go to regular school. And he said, man, I'm telling you right now, Steve said that was the hardest thing that was the toughest year of my life. And he said, I miss my family on the road with me.
And that's what distracts guys. It did that for me, but I don't regret those choices. Later in my career, I started making my wife and my kids top priority. And I'm not saying they weren't, but gosh, I felt like I had to make sure I could put food on the table for the first 10 years out there. So, it's tough decisions. But what I don't want to do is act like, I hope y'all feel pitiful or feel sad for me, because I was able to do what I dreamed to do from the time I was 12 or 13 years old, make a decent living at it, accomplish more than I ever dreamed, and if I had it all to do over again, I would do it all over again. So I don't want to sound like, it was the worst thing that ever happened, and I was able to fish the Bass Master Tournament Trail for 20 years. But
Well,
it is tough. It's fine, and there's a lot of sacrifice.
Well, you consider, that, touring musicians, Elvis, there's concessions that you make for what you do, and you can't apologize for what you chose, the profession that the good Lord blessed you with, and the talents that you got with that. Of course, it does come with a price, and the fact is that when you got to a position in your career where you could do something about that, and you could reprioritize, you did that, and that shows the mettle of the man that we're talking to, and that when you got to that position, you immediately jumped on it and rectified that. So we want you to know how much we've enjoyed your career, and how much truly what you add to the BASS coverage is unbelievable, and the combination of you and Zona. Well, there's something wrong with him. We don't know what.
Yeah, I've known him a long time. He's a super.
You pray for him, don't you? You pray for that man, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, David, we're going to let you get back to your school fish, and we appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on with us today, and look forward to having you on again in the near future.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the kind words, and just give me a shout anytime. I'd love to be on with you.
One last thing before you go. Are the fish still schooling?
No, they went down, but I hit my old tricks on spot lock, so I'm going to stand up and make a cast right to where they were.
Hey, thank you, David. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you so much.
We're hooking up and tracking down. What a cool guy. Davey Height.
Yeah, great guy.
One of the best that there has ever been. Will he obviously go into the Hall of Fame? We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. There's a big room up there. There's two double beds up there. It'd be good. Why? You scared your snore? What? Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, yeah. And the good thing is when we go, it'll be decent weather. He's got a real nice porch out there with a big table. You can go out there and sit on the porch and read. There's lights, it's really nice. And he's right there. Bill Leonard's camp is 3 doors down. Bill might be there. Bill's camp is 3 doors down, and Johnny Geiss's cousin is right beside Bill Leonard. Power tag.
Folks, tell your friends that if they missed today's show, they can catch us again Saturday morning from 6 till 8. And make sure to download Radio Pup to your iPhone, iPad, or other listening device. This segment presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Red River Waterway Commission, Seagar Fishing Line, and United Rentals, providing heavy or light-duty equipment and tools for any and all size contractors. Once again, here's Gary, Steve, and Mike. Take it away, guys.
Want to hear more of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show? Tune in Saturday mornings from 6 till 8, where you'll hear interviews from the greatest anglers in the world as they share tips and tactics with the wittiest and smartest guys in radio. Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and Steve Graff. Tune in from 6 to 8 Saturday mornings right here on AM 1130 The Tiger, the home of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show.
Wittiest. Does that mean that we owe more people more money than anybody else? Is that what that means? Witty?
I think so.
No, that's not it.
No.
I was just checking. What do you got? What is this?
We started this last week.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the outdoor slang, and I thought it was stupid when I first saw it, but when I read through it, and there was a bunch.
You knew it was.
That's when you knew it was perfect for our show.
I there was a bunch of them I didn't know. I said, "This is like
outdoors
genius
slang
stuff." Yeah. What does white gold refer to? A, deer antlers. B, large beavers. I hate that. And C, an engagement ring. White gold. What does it refer to?
Well, the only white gold I've ever seen is actually the metal white gold.
Yeah, right.
I would say antlers.
I'm going to say antlers, too.
Antlers. That's it.
Okay.
When you're hunting sheds.
Oh, okay.
Do you know anybody
they're
that has,
bleached out? Yeah.
Do you know anybody here locally that has a shed dog that will hunt the sheds?
I've got one to dig a hole under the shed. No, I don't. But
I just think that would be awesome.
Okay. Most hunters prefer to shoot slickheads. True or false?
No.
No.
False. That slickhead's a term for shooting does.
Yeah.
What's a smoke pole? A muzzle loader.
There you go.
B, meat smoker, or C, a cigar.
Yeah, it's
a muzzle loader. Some of these are pretty easy. What does it mean if animals jump the string? A, it ran away from the group of hunters.
It ducked the arrow.
B, it escapes a snare.
No.
Or C, it heard the bowstring.
It heard the bowstring. Ducked the arrow.
That's it. Toad is slang for what? A big turkey, B, a big hog, or C, a deer.
A toad?
Toad.
I always called it a big bass.
Yeah.
A big old toad.
That's the reason I...
What are my options again?
A turkey?
A big turkey, a big hog, or a big deer.
Big
I'm
hog.
going to say a big deer.
Big hog.
Big deer.
It is
I
big
don't
deer?
know what part of the country they came up with.
Yeah.
I don't know either.
Why do many hunters try to avoid a pumpkin patch? A, they like to be alone. B, pumpkins drive away the deer. Or C, they prefer squash.
I know that this is a true story. I know that they do not drive deer away because my son killed the biggest buck he's ever killed in his life that had just kicked open a pumpkin and was eating the heart out of it. So I'm going to say C.
I'll say C, too.
Which was they prefer squash. That's C?
Mm-hmm.
No, the answer is they like to be alone. A pumpkin patch is slang for being around a lot of deer hunters wearing orange vest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pumpkin patch.
Okay.
Timber tiger are the most prized game animals in North America. True or false?
Never heard of a timber tiger. I have no idea. True.
True. False. Timber tiger is slang for squirrels.
Really?
Yeah.
Timber tiger.
That's
Wow.
right. If your hunting dog smells quail, he will act like what? A, dumb, B, fritzy, or C, birdie?
Birdie.
I knew you
knew that
this one. Yeah, that's it, birdie. Everyone wants to bag a button buck. True or false?
No.
No.
False.
False. That's it. Where would you put a wall hanger? A, your home office. B, on your deer stand. C, in your car.
Office.
Over your fireplace.
I didn't give that option.
Well,
Yeah, it was an option.
What was the A?
Home office.
Home office, yeah.
A wife put that
Yeah.
question together.
Where would you most likely find a speed goat? A, Iowa.
Speed goat.
It's a redneck contest here.
A, Iowa.
That
B,
was
B, Maine, or C, Wyoming.
Iowa?
Iowa,
Maine,
or Wyoming.
I'm going to say Wyoming.
Speed goat.
Yeah, speed goat.
Yeah, speed goat is slang for pronghorn antelope.
Oh, okay. So it's Wyoming?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of animal is often tight-lipped? A pheasant,
A
a
fish.
rabbit, turkey, or a largemouth bass?
Largemouth bass.
There you go.
Yep.
Time for a couple more. What kind of animal breaks points? A raccoon, a deer, or a hunting dog?
Hunting dog.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's bird dogs flush break a point. A term shoe polisher might be used to describe what? A rabbit, a rabid game animal, or a hunting dog?
A hunting dog.
I said a rabbit.
You'd said a rabbit?
Yeah.
Okay, you're wrong.
Okay.
A hunting dog, you know why?
Yes, because he won't leave you.
That's
He's right there. He's
in
right
between
there.
your legs.
Yeah,
He'll
all the
not
time.
go off and leave
Yeah.
you.
Makes
Where would muleys be most common? Desert of Arizona, swamps of Florida, or mountains of New Mexico?
Mountains of New Mexico.
That's right. It's a good thing if your hunting dog busts a bird. True or false?
Not.
False.
False. That means he flushed the bird.
Right, too
Broke
soon.
point.
He broke
Cane
point.
cutter is slang for what kind of animal?
Snake.
A possum, a crow, or rabbit.
A possum,
rabbit.
a cane. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That's
cane
one
cutter.
of those.
Yeah,
cane
rabbit,
swamp
because
rabbits.
they actually eat chew the bark off cane, not bark, skin off cane.
Yeah.
But there is a snake that we call a cane,
Cane
cutter,
cutter,
too.
right,
Yeah.
No, it's called a cane break.
Cane
Break rattler.
Shh, don't tell him, but I think he's right.
You know what?
Yeah, I know I'm right.
Hey, don't look at him like that, Top Water.
let's
You're
just
giving him that look of approval over there.
Let's just go to break.
can't
on
have
that.
that.
I'll lock the yes. Hook it up and track it down.
Tell him.
We're done. 11:30.
That's right.
The Tiger.
Put her on a fast track to
You can't download it? Well, I've got it. I've got it pulled. I've got it pulled up on my phone, but I can't tell what I'm looking at. That's got to be B-Sons because the river swings out there. I'm looking at Google Earth. Why do I need all that? Okay, is that the name? That's where's the bridge? Got it. All right, there's Santa Fe. Okay. No. Yeah. See all that? See all that right in there? That's see all those fingers? Yeah. That's car body. Car body pocket. And I want to go on the big one. This first one, the furthest north one. Yeah, if it's still there, there's an old duck line back to the back of it. I carried Pete, but we didn't get to go in there. Remember Larry Matthews? His son told me, he said, Mr. Gary, he says, you know where the old duck line was there at Carbody? I said, yeah. He said, there's two stumps. He said, kind of follow it, it's like a little ditch in there. And he says, there's a couple of stumps right there by that old duck line. And he said, we were catching fish on every one of those stumps leading up to it. And he said, we caught.
That's right, you're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show. This segment is presented by Natchitoches Ford, Cowboys Wild Game Washer, and Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend. A great place to come and relax while taking in the beauty of Toledo Bend. Now, back to the guys who love the Bend, Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Thanks a lot for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger. And I'm going to tell you right now, Graf is saying that it's tough. We're going to get it from the horse's mouth right now. We've got South Toledo Bend guide. Oh, we got the best times to fish first. I'm sorry.
That's right. Don't cut me out.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah, here's your Cigar line best times to fish. As fishing gets a little tough this weekend, is rated as fair on Friday and Saturday and good on Sunday. There's a 0% chance of rain this weekend with the highs in the upper 70s, lows in the 50s. The moon phase will be increasing from 70% on Friday to 80 on Sunday. Best time to fish, mid to late morning. Friday, 7:55 to 10:55 a.m. Sunrise will be 6:22. Sunset, 7:55. Saturday, 8:45 to 11:45 a.m. Sunrise 6:22. Sunset 7:56. Sunday, make sure you're fishing between 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Sunrise at 6:21. Sunset 7:56. This has been your Cigar Fishing Lines. Best time to fish.
Okay, now we're going to head to the south end of Toledo Bend with guide Daryl Gleason. And Daryl, you know, one of the things that just occurred to me while Mike was giving that is the moon is starting to rise. Will there be, on the south end of Toledo Bend, will there be a last wave of fish to pull up and spawn on the next full moon?
Man, I really don't think there is. I think most of them have completed all that. But always a few stragglers that come up. It's not something that we usually target myself, just because that last
group that does come up, by this time, the fish have all been beat up pretty bad shallow down there.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're usually looking at other options, but you kind of hit the nail on the head when you start off saying it's a little bit tough right now. Toledo Bend is being a little stingy.
What's normal for you this time of the year? What's the normal pattern that you're not seeing pan out right now?
Normally for me, the deep pattern is a little more consistent. That 15 to 25 foot right now is very inconsistent. We'll go out one day, I believe last Thursday, and we had a nice, probably a 20-pound day, probably caught 30 fish. It seemed like everywhere we pulled up, we could grab them on our Lowrance, we could catch them. And then as of yesterday, all that had slowed down a little bit. You could grab them in places, but it was real tough to get them to bite. And then a lot of times you did catch them, the quality was down a little bit. So that's a little bit different this year, and there's probably all kinds of factors that's causing that. But it's still Toledo Bend, and, that can all change in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Daryl, you and I talked yesterday at the boat ramp, and by the way, thank you for coming on with us today. We really appreciate your input. The one thing me and you kind of talked about was how it was so difficult. The fish that I did catch yesterday, and then the 2 or 3 I shook off, there was no rhyme or reason, no pattern. Is this right now kind of one of those trash tournaments we're looking at for BFL this weekend, where just there'll be guys with 8 or 10 rods on the deck of the boat, and you'll catch one fish on each one of them?
Yeah, I really think this is going to be one of those tournaments Saturday. And what are the tournaments going on the lake? It's the junk fishing man's dream, and it's not something I really love to do myself. Living here on the lake, guiding every day, I kind of like to have a little milk run or a little plan set in place. But it seems like a lot of the guys that just kind of get shallow, cover a lot of good water. At the end of the day, there's still be some good stringers caught.
Well, again, that's what I feel like. It's going to be one of those kind of events that anybody can come from anywhere on this particular event. Now, this time of year, the north end of Toledo Bend, I know you got on the south end, but you guys will go anywhere you have to catch fish. But, that end of the lake may be in a different transition period than we are, say, mid-lake and south end of the lake, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem on the south end is we've had several waves of spawners, and it just seems like that post-spawn funk has kind of went on just a little bit longer than it normally does. But I've been hearing rumors, some good reports coming from north of the bridge. Of course, this is such a big lake. One thing we always say is that they're biting somewhere on something. So
right.
It doesn't matter the section of the lake you're in. If it's not happening, you really just need to be moving around looking for new water, because they're probably biting up north a little bit, and that's probably more of a shallow deal, I would think. So it'd be interesting to see how Saturday plays out for sure.
One of the things that's occurred to me is there was reports that some of the herbicides that they were using to take care of the salvinia that had come into the lake was actually killing some of the other grass that was in the lake. Are you seeing a total devastation, or are there pockets where there is a little bit of grass?
I would probably agree that I think some of that, along with killing the salvinia, it also killed the hay grass, especially in the Indian Mounds area. Mm-hmm. And we have not seen very much milfoil or hydrilla activity in that particular area for sure. But Housen Bayou, Housen Creek, which is one of the big community creeks down the lake, enormous. It's really had the best population of hydrilla probably since last summer. And then there's just sporadic places on the south end other than that, but man, once you get above Housen, it's hard to find a sprig of grass in the water.
Well, it's kind of like when the lake was brand new, though. You're looking more for pronounced ridges, and a lot of people say that because the lake was down so long, some of those little humps aren't nearly as pronounced as they were before and aren't nearly as attractive. Obviously, the brush and all is gone from the tops of those humps, any kind of cover that might have been on that structure. And they say that kind of has hurt like the old crankbait bite that used to be so prevalent.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. It just doesn't seem very consistent right now on those humps and ridges, where in the past, usually we're getting into early May, that's the time they start arriving out there, especially those ones. We had some that spawned in January and February this year, so some of those fish are kind of early summer pattern typically by this time. And right now that bite is just not super consistent. You'll catch them one day and really think you got something going, and then 2 or 3 days later they start just kind of disappearing on you. So it's just even the deep fishing right now is just kind of a junk fishing deal, and the same thing shallow. You could probably, as Steve had said, put 8 or 10 rods out and maybe catch 2 or 3 fish on each one.
Daryl, years ago, the guys that really fished Toledo Bend South End a lot talked about having a late group of spawners on Toledo Bend that spawned out deep, limbs of trees and 20 and 30 foot of water. Does that still occur out there?
Man, I've heard a lot of the old timers talk about that. I got several buddies that fished the lake back in those days. It's not something that I have heard anyone in the last 10 years talk about actually doing. People talk about it a long time ago, so I don't know if it's something that they done that when the tops of those trees were real thick and the limbs were real big, and now so much of that is rotted off and fell to the bottom of the lake. I don't know if they just don't do it anymore, or honestly, it could be something that the guys just don't go out there and look for now. But I've heard all kinds of old timers talk about seeing them spawn in those limbs, and they'll be in 50 foot of water, and the fish should be 3 foot down spawning, just like you would find in a cove. But it's just not something I've heard anyone do in the last 10 years around here.
That was unbelievable back in the day, because that actually happened mostly in May, and it was the old ALBC Top 6 tournament, the Association of Louisiana Bass Club's Top 6 tournament, and it was a team of 6 guys that were in a Leesville bass club that had discovered that pattern, and let me tell you what, they would kill them on big old spinnerbaits out there, like you said, Mike, anywhere from 20 to 50 foot of water. But I'm betting, Daryl, that you're right. I'm betting that those trees during the drought, those trees that the big limbs were up 10, 12 foot under the water, I bet they're all gone now.
I believe they are, and I'm actually originally from the Leesville area, so I know a lot of those guys, and I had fished in that club myself when I come up, so I heard a lot of those stories, and it's just one of those things. It's almost like people that put out crappie piles, over time, those things just deteriorate and kind of rot out and go to the bottom, and I think that's what happened with a lot of those big trees. It's just something that just doesn't seem to come into play anymore. If it does, everybody's really good at keeping that a secret.
Darryl, what advice if somebody is wanting to go to Toledo Bend and have a trip down there, and what's the best thing they could just put on? Maybe catch some fish. They need to go to a trick worm. Do they need to drop shot? What's the best technique they can probably pull out of their rod locker?
Man, there's never anything wrong with doing a little finesse fishing. Probably just a good old standby. I don't shaky head a lot here myself, but I throw a quarter-ounce Texas rig with a trick-style worm on it. Anything from a green pumpkin or whatever flavor you like, or a watermelon candy, that'd be a good deal. And if you want to catch them a little bit deeper, that same technique will work. Catch them just a little bit deeper, and you can up your weight size up to a 3/8, and that'll get down there a little bit better. That's always just a good standby for someone who's never been here and just need to catch some, especially if you bring in your family.
Right.
Usually that'll get you some bites.
All right.
Now, if somebody's wanting to get in the boat with you, and obviously you're paying attention to Lowrance, I'm sure that the uneducated of us, on electronics is going to get a good lesson on that kind of stuff. If somebody's wanting to get in the boat with you, what do we need to do? Is there a website? Is there a Facebook page, phone number? How's the best way to get hold of you?
You can look me up on the internet. I have a website, www.gleasonfishing.com, and then I also have a Facebook page I run, South Toledo Bend Guide Service. It's my name, Daryl Gleason, and then my phone number is 337-397-8860. That's probably what we'll be doing the rest of this summer, really, is we do a lot of the instructional courses on electronics, so we'll go out and kind of fish a little bit, train you up on your electronics. So should be a good the bite's really going to get good here soon.
Daryl, do you just do bass fishing, or do you get into the crappie guiding?
Man, I really just do the bass fishing, but the fishing had been a little off the last couple of weeks, and I actually finally did do a couple crappie trips. Just from looking at my electronics so much, I could see some brush piles that have the crappie, and the crappie really were on fire prior to these little storms we just had. We could catch, 50 to 75 probably in about 2 hours.
Wow. Wow. Good size crappie?
Yeah, the nice pound-and-a-half, 2-pounders.
Hey.
I saw several people out there at several barges yesterday. A lot of guys that had crappie crews on them. They were all out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were getting after it. And I saw some people putting fish in the boat. So crappie bite may be on pretty good. All right.
The crappie bite, it went down just a little bit when we had that little storm, but it's really fixing to kick off good on the brush pile.
Well, Daryl, I'll see you this weekend. Thank you, buddy, for coming on with us, and we look forward to getting a report from you on down the road.
All right. Hey, appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good weekend.
All right.
Thank you.
South Toledo Bend guy, Daryl Gleason.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
Hold on in your heart, please just remember, right wrong, I'm still in love with you.
This is the long. This is right. That's right long. Okay? Right long. Right here is sand path. Okay? And here is right long. Okay? See the right long is kind of tucked up in there. See? These are the fingers. This is all carbide and copper. Now this, yeah, yeah, that's Anderson Island. That's what I was trying to tell. That's No, that kinda, yeah, but all of this is what if you were launching at Bisons, this is what you would see. And then it comes around. This is the finger that the duck lines is up. No, this is the finger the duck lines up in. You're gonna want to fish in all of those. You'll find in this one right here. I took Pete up in there. Pete had never seen it before. I took Pete up in there. Pete couldn't believe there was 10 and 11 foot of water back there. Pete's like, holy crap! And I said, dude, this was one of Ronnie Rogers, who was my first partner. He was a writer for Honey Hole. I said, this was one of Ronnie's things that he passed to me why I was doing so good on Toledo. Was that this area right here? Well, I didn't realize it. It was also Mike Metcalf's little area. It was also where when the fish weren't biting on the river, when Robert and William would duck out of the way, especially on a bad north or south wind, you can get in there and you fish. And there's fish in there. You just got to figure out where they are. Are they in the middle of the creek? Are they on the stump? Are they in the grass? You know, what are they doing? And that's where who really showed who fishes it more than anybody or did was Brian and Jason's grandfather, J.B. Rich, Laura's dad. Yeah, he always camped there on Anderson Island. And
Well, this is it, the final segment. Don't forget to check out our new website at HUTDshow.com, an information highway for all things related to the great outdoors. This segment is presented by Nichols Department Stores, Natchitoches Power Sports, Gamakatsu Hooks, Spro Lures, and Despino and Jim South Tires. The Arklatex #1 tire dealer with 6 locations to serve you. One more time, here's Gary McCoy, Steve Graff, and the Mud Hen himself, Mike Eccles.
Folks, the CCA Louisiana Star, the statewide tournament Anglers Rodeo, is in its 23rd year of competition. Each year, the tournament begins on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend and lasts until Labor Day. Star is CCA Louisiana's largest membership drive and boasts over 13,000 participants each year. During the competition, anglers compete for over $500,000 in prizes. Register now as the tournament starts May 27th. Go to ccastar.com to learn more and to register for the greatest fishing tournament in the Gulf Coast region. Coastal Conservation Association of Louisiana, making a difference in the future
Coastal constipation
of our waterways.
I hate it when I have that coastal constipation. I mean, it's just terrible.
It can be rough.
You're plugged up for miles.
I'm telling you.
Your rosocaine won't come out.
It's just you get that pesticide thing going on. Okay, you got 2 tournaments this week, bro.
We do. We have tomorrow night. And we got issues. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me. Tomorrow is a Cash Splash tournament on Cross Lake. Mm-hmm. They are predicting 20-mile-an-hour northwest winds tomorrow, which is going to – I'm not going to cancel.
I thought all the bad weather was coming in this evening, so it's going to hang around for all day tomorrow, huh?
They're predicting the winds tomorrow.
Wow. Fish will bite.
Well, they will, but just be careful. You know, find you someplace to launch and be careful. So, but we will have the Cash Splash on Cross Lake tomorrow evening. Don't be like some of the guys and say, "Oh, I didn't realize it was going to get cold this evening. Can I borrow your jacket?" No, I'm wearing it.
All right, now listen. What time are you there?
We start at exactly 4:15.
Okay.
You have to check in every tournament. Pay your entry fee. No early entry.
Entry's what? $50?
55.
55.
Yeah, we do that because $5 we polygraph every tournament.
Okay.
And But we'll be out there set up at 4 o'clock, but we do not start till 4:15. You can leave, go out after that. Cannot make cast for 5:15. Then we have a stop fishing and inline time. This Saturday, the boss tournament. The choice between Cross Lake and or Red River. Weigh-in will be at Red River South. They told me Monday at the Red River Waterway Commission that they expected all ramps to be open in Pool 4 and maybe a couple of them core ramps to be closed in Pool 5 Wednesday and Thursday, but back open by Friday.
Okay.
That was what they predicted Monday. I don't know if that's the case now. Maybe a little more water coming in. Red River South will be open no matter what.
Okay, now question for you. Regardless, the tournament is either, as it stands right now, is either Cross Lake or Red River.
Right.
Those are the two bodies of eligible water.
Right.
Will that stay even if they close the ramp or if the ramps don't open?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it will because I just cannot bring myself to throw. I had a text a while ago. Jerry Hester said, "Are you going to do an alternate lake?" I just cannot bring myself to throw an alternate lake in after the last weekend of practice.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, somebody's going to say, "Well, just example, you threw in Grand Bayou because you like Jerry Hester and he went down there and fished."
Yeah.
Right.
Just can't. That's not the case.
Right.
So, you just have to make up your mind. Do you want to go out and battle the muddy water on the river? Or do you want to go to Cross Lake?
Right.
95% of the people are going to go to Cross Lake. The weigh-in will still be at Red River South.
How do you keep picking the coldest Saturdays in the month for
Who
these
in
tournaments?
the world would have thought 3 years in a row you couldn't fish the river in May?
Yeah.
3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Normally by now it's stable.
But the reason that I'm not going to move the weigh-in from Cross Lake to Red River South, Red River
Opposite
South
of that.
to Cross Lake,
Yeah.
because that's where all the people are going to be fishing, although I'm sure we'll haul the fish back to Cross Lake. All I've got to do is miss notifying one team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they drive to Red River South for the weigh-in,
Right.
and there's nobody there.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't DQ them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving it as is. You make your choice.
Okay.
So,
Gary and Pete would be the guys that would get left out probably.
no, that'd be the guys just forget.
Oh yeah. Dang.
Whoops.
Gummit.
So
what-
Cash Splash Thursday night, Boss this Saturday.
So tell me now. I want to go back to Caddo for a minute
Should
because
have bought your boat.
you ripped them Saturday, and then this past Thursday, Kyle Carnes, Pete's nephew, he and his partner won a Thursday night tournament that was on Caddo Lake last week. They had 4 fish went over 20 pounds.
Ooh, I didn't know they had a Thursday night tournament
Yeah.
up there.
So
Wow.
Kyle said it wasn't a real big one, but they wound up winning. So I want to congratulate them. But so the fish are evidently biting on Caddo.
They are. Caddo has held its own for 3 months.
Yeah.
It's not been like, well, it's over for a while on Caddo.
Yeah.
Caddo Lake.
How
has been
deep
the
of water are
lake-
the fish in right now?
Oh, we caught our fish in 1.5 feet, 2 foot.
Really?
Absolutely.
How big's the
Wow.
hydrilla there on Caddo right now?
I don't know if there is any.
There is a ton of hydrilla on Caddo
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
there's some. Yeah, there's some.
Especially in the bayou. I mean, it's beautiful.
Really?
I had forgotten how much I love just being around hydrilla.
Right.
And you can get up there and see some of the most beautiful green hydrilla that you. And it's like, come on, can you just grow back into Toledo Bend?
Yeah,
I
really.
do. I will say this though, it's kind of neat. I've done a lot of idling around on Cross over the last little bit, and it's amazing to me that the hydrilla had gotten so bad in Cross for so long that there were places that were inaccessible just because of the hydrilla. And those places now, even with Salvinia, they're accessible. The Salvinia isn't as bad as the hydrilla had gotten, but I still miss those days.
I wonder if the hydrilla hanging up in thickets and pockets and stuff and staying, cutting off the light, has stopped the hydrilla from growing.
You mean
gotta have-
the Salvinia?
Salvinia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm sorry.
want. You know what? You could be onto something with that. If that's the culprit, and maybe when it dies and lays over the top and
covers the bottom with that
Yeah.
Well,
black snot.
yeah.
You remember our biggest worry before Salvinia was the water hyacinth.
Yeah.
It's funny how that's kind of been knocked back a little bit. I guess Salvinia's kind of taken over.
One thing about it, hyacinths come and go.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They do.
You can have a year just like the hydrilla.
Yeah.
You can have a year that you just don't have it. Say, what happened to it? Where'd it
Right.
go? What killed it? Ain't nothing killing
Salvinia.
Salvinia.
You know, we got to get Bob Seeley on here before long. We're getting ready for the Toledo Bend tournament.
Well, matter of fact, I haven't notified you yet. I'll notify you now. We were planning on being at Toledo Town and Tackle May 17th for that show, and that's the week that Seeley is actually at Toledo Bend.
Oh, that's good.
So hopefully we'll have Bob on show with us.
And I'll be right here.
Yeah, you'll be. I'll be right here.
I'll be joining y'all live in the studio.
There you go. But anyway, that's kind of the plan right now. We hadn't been to Kirk Carver's yet, and we need to go down there. And that's a great time to go. Be a lot of activity going on around Toledo Bend. And, of course, Bob Seeley, never short on words.
Word on the street is that at one point here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kurt had never been as busy as he was at that time. It was unbelievable the amount of people that were down on the lake because the weather had just been so accommodating that it had been one of the best years that they had seen just for numbers of anglers being on the water.
Men, historically, do not like to be wrong.
Right.
I'll bet you this is one time when Kurt Carver doesn't mind saying, I was wrong. Do you remember 2 or 3 months ago when Kurt said he was predicting one of his worst years?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that it didn't hit him.
Right. Well, now that just means it was for that span. Who knows? I mean, if it's as tough like as Darrell says it is right now, and Graf's been down there, if it's that tough,
let me just put it to you this way.
That business is ebb and tide.
Kurt has not reordered this past month from anybody. That's how tough it is at Kirk Carver's right now.
Wow.
If that tells you anything.
Well, I know for a fact that at one point it was crazy.
Every month, V&M gets an order from Kurt.
Yeah.
He called him and said, Kurt, I didn't get your order. He said, you ain't getting one, and neither is anybody else because ain't nobody buying nothing right now.
Wow.
It is super tough over here. Nobody's fishing.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. It's funny
how
it
you
goes
go
in
from feast to famine that quick.
I'm telling you.
Oil field.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of that, didn't they have the Oil Man's tournament here not long ago? Or maybe they're getting ready for it? I want to say. We got to find out about that
Had 2
one.
or 3 of them.
Yeah.
They have a Texas and a Louisiana
Yeah.
now.
We got to get the scoop on that.
We'll find out. Right now, it's time for the final word. With summertime fast approaching, make plans now to introduce your kids to fishing or the great outdoors. We have promoted this on our show since its inception. There's no better way to introduce anyone to fishing than with a great guide trip from any one of our great HUTD guides like Cajun Fishing Adventures, Captain Ryan Lambert, or Cajun Phil Broussard at Cajun Paradise down in Lake Charles. Or maybe, how about Lake Fork guide Johnny Geis? Any one of these guys will not only treat you to a great day on the water, but you'll get a first-rate fishing education as well. Folks, don't forget to tune us in this Saturday morning from 6 till 8 right here on AM 1130 The Tiger for more Hooking Up and Tracking Down.